All right, we're here.
Yeah, so this place, when I was growing up here, my parents would bring us here almost every single Sunday after church, and we'd get dim sum.
Okay.
So that's what we're gonna do today.
That's what we're gonna do. Haven't done this in San Francisco. Let's do it.
It's so good. It's so good.
Looking forward to it.
Oh yeah, 一个叉烧包。Yeah. 要秀麦。Yeah. 要一个。一个。Then do you have shrimp, the shrimp dumplings?
Shrimp, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And then 叉烧包 we have 一个。蛋挞。
We have no today.
No 蛋挞 today? Okay. 好好。could we get 这个 that one?
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh.
Spicy?
Yeah.
What'd you order?
Oh, don't worry.
Okay, good stuff. It's
It'll
one
be
of those.
great. It'll be great.
It is one of those. So this is.
Can we also get bing sui?
Sorry?
Water. Bing sui.
冰水.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is a different way than when we did it in San Francisco.
Yes.
And so I haven't had dim sum in a while. It's been like probably about 3 or 4 years. And so remind me, how does it work?
Basically, you see good food and you order that good food.
You point to it?
You point to it, and then you put it on this amazing Lazy Susan, and you just keep eating. And this is actually a very popular lunch, a Cantonese lunch, where it kind of happens over lunchtime, business, casual, and you just keep ordering as you sit and make deals.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So it's just like, you just continue to eat and eat and eat.
Yeah, so my lunches when I was a kid lasted 3 hours. Like that was, like I remember just enjoying growing up and just eating food and then hanging out for hours on end.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Can we eat?
Yeah, let's dive in.
This is like calling our name.
Yeah.
This is calling my name at least.
Yeah, so growing up as a kid here, I felt like, especially growing up in Troy, I had, that kind of experience being half Chinese, that I had two worlds I was living in.
Yes.
Right? So I lived in the world of Friday nights, Saturdays, Chinese school, classes, going to aunties and uncles' homes and having celebrations. But then I also lived in a predominantly non-white community as well. So living in these kind of worlds, I actually felt like my cultural heritage, my Chinese heritage was my dominant. Because it felt like I did more of these practices on a regular basis.
Right.
And so I always identified more in my kind of Asian community more than I did in my non-Asian community. But I also didn't feel always accepted in there because I wasn't fully part of that community. But like things like this, gatherings like this were always a reminder of food around the table.
Yeah, who you are.
Yeah.
Because food isn't just, it's culture, it's identity. There's so much of this. And
Yes.
so.
Well, and even this is called 叉烧包. My nai, my grandma, she would make this. I would come home from school and she would have these steamed up in our home almost every single day. So after school, we would eat this. And it was just one of those reminders. And there's a funny story. Don't forget to remove the paper. My dad on his first date with my mom to eat dim sum ate the paper, having no idea that you do that.
We should have tried that too. So when you open this up, what's inside?
Barbecue pork.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
Heaven is right here.
Okay, we gotta take a bite of this. That is heaven. A steamed bun, huh?
Steam bun,
Wow.
delicious, absolutely
amazing.
incredible. So, during the last few years, you've kind of been leading us in a journey of meeting with other Asian American pastors. What kind of led you into that experience and kind of brought you towards that direction?
Yeah, I think with COVID and so much of the racial unrest that was happening back in 2020, and just a lot of that environment, I think I came to this place where I wanted to understand, even though I was 40 years old at the time, I wanted to understand who exactly am I in a deeper way.
Yeah.
And so that really started me on this journey of really diving more into the Korean, the Asian aspect of who I am and who God has created me to be. And so that started me on a journey of learning more, of growing in awareness and educating myself, reading, having conversations, all of that. And then it spawned into just these different forms. And one of them being, of course, like we're part of a church leaders, pastors group in this area, an Asian American group of church leaders, and who just came together every single Friday. And we would just learn about Asian American culture, different things that impact the Asian American population as well as the church as well. And I thought it was just a beautiful time of us learning and just growing together and just wrestling together with just hard things as well.
Yeah. One of the things that I love that kind of spurred out of this is a trip that you led for a couple times here at Kensington, an Asian American Civil Rights Tour. Why don't you share what was that journey? What was that trip that you kind of started and launched for us?
Yeah, because it was all part of the journey of me wanting to understand more of my God-given identity as a Korean American, as an Asian American. And so understanding history plays a huge part in it.
Yeah.
And so much of the history for Asian Americans is out in the West, because that's where the immigration centers, that's where they first came and settled in California. And so I just started doing research. I started reading. I started having conversations. And so many doors opened up. I would talk to one person, and then somebody would say, hey, go talk to this person. And so I'd go talk to them, and then they would tell me about these incredible places in California, incredible people in California who I learned so much from. And so that was really the start of it. But then I just was like, I think this could be something that I invite other people into to share and to learn along with me. And then the tour happened. Yeah. And of course, you were on one of the first ones.
Yeah, I got to go with my mom, which I had multiple times of just weeping through different experiences. Just seeing it through her eyes, things that I didn't understand as a kid. And I remember when we were out in the Bay Area and one of the immigration centers, just standing in those rooms together was absolutely incredible. But what was cool is to hear other people who went on the trip with us and their experiences of seeing it through a different lens. So we actually invited Tatiana, who's going to join us and share a little bit about her experience.
Hey, Tatiana.
Hey,
Come over here. Grab a seat.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thanks.
Really glad you're here.
Yeah, happy to be here.
Shisha, shisha.
All right.
All right.
What is this?
Other Heaven.
Other Heaven.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Delicious food. Delicious food.
It looks delicious. This is incredible. So Justin and I were having a conversation. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah.
And Justin and I were having a conversation about the Asian American Civil Rights Tour. And they all sort of blend in together for me because we've been on a couple of them, 4 or 5 of them now. But remind me, which trip did you join us on?
The one that Living Undivided came with us.
Got it. Was that in November of 22, right?
Yes.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
How's that? Because there's so much that happened during that week, and 6 days in California, incredible relationships that are developed, and we meet some extraordinary people and go to some really powerful places. And for you, what was probably the most impacting for you, just looking at it through your eyes, your experience, just of all the conversations that happened, all the places that we went?
Yeah, there's a lot of spots that have stuck with me over the past, I guess it's years now since that we've been there. And what's really interesting is at that point, I had only been living in Michigan 10 months at that point and had actually grown up in the Bay Area. And this was all brand new history for me learning because this is not taught in the public school system in California. And when I was posting about just some of the things that I learned, I heard from some of my friends in California, and only one person said, oh, we were taught about Manzanar or Angel Island, and it was because she went to a private school that chose to put that in their curriculum. So everyone else that I was talking to was like, this is brand new, and it's almost like this hidden history because it is shameful to know that there's been so much discrimination that people have gone through in your backyard. So that was really impactful for me to just realize that this was history that I had not learned and it was not offered to me, and I had to move to another state and then come back, to learn it, which was kind of crazy. But a few things that have stuck with me. I'm a worship leader here, so obviously art really connects with me, and 2 things where there was a guy named Tony. He constructed a camera that he smuggled into Manzanar to document. And then in Angel Island, there were poems that were etched into the walls documenting people's experience, and it just hit me so hard how important art is to document things. And even Jesus did this with telling parables. Like, art communicates the reality of people's experience and sheds light on it. And yeah, so that's been something that has stuck with me, is how even the artists have a role in liberation and just restoring the dignity of people's experiences.
Because it was an expression. I remember those exact things. I remember some of the pictures, seeing them, and it's an expression of, and of course the etchings on the wall. I remember it's like an expression of pain, but at the same time there's an expression of beauty there as well, which I thought was so amazing. That like in a place like Manzanar, which was a incarceration camp for Japanese Americans, more than 120,000 Japanese Americans were incarcerated during World War II, many of them, most of them being Japanese Americans. But at the same time, when we went to Manzanar and we see the stories and we see pictures, is that yes, it's so incredibly heartbreaking that this happened in our history. And it's not just Asian American history, it's American history. But at the same time, within those camps, there's also so much beauty as well. People being married, babies being born. And also incredible like teachers who, I believe all the teachers, at least the ones in Manzanar that we were able to see, they were white, and they came and they had such an incredible heart for the Japanese and Japanese Americans who were there. And so you see these stories of beauty and in the midst of all this pain and turmoil and heartbreak as well. And so I think that's such a great insight.
Yeah, I was sitting actually with my mom in standing outside in one of those rooms looking at those poems. And I had this moment as I looked at the trunk. It looked a lot like my grandma's trunk, my nai's trunk, like the just of luggage that she brought. And like I said, I wept just sitting with her, seeing that, going, these photos look like my mom as a kid, right? These photos just were so touching and impactful. And it was like a moment to honor her story and all that she's walked through, that I just get to sit in like a different place with her and hear her version of her stories, but kind of have a new perspective in it.
We have the ability to step into these types of situations today, and ultimately when we look at the scriptures, what does God say? How are we supposed to respond? And it's not a black and white issue. It's so nuanced, it's so complex. There are so many different opinions, but at the same time, we have an opportunity to be able to potentially respond in a different way than what happened all those years ago.
Yeah. So, well, this was a great conversation. Thanks for sitting down with us, Tatiana.
Yeah, for sure.
And thank you for coming.